Hi, everyone. My name is Olga, and thank you for attending my talk on how we at wholesale, which just means fiber optic cable, went from firefighting mode to flow. A little bit about me. My name is Olga. I have a bachelor's in computer science and a master's in applied data science. This is me during my graduation last summer. I've been in software development for just over 13 years. And I've been in this position at wholesale for just over a year. And this is my first time in the telecom domain and also leading a team. So it's been a big learning experience for sure, but one that's been very fun and very exciting. But let's get into the talk. So I'm going to paint you a picture. It's the afternoon, and all of your integrational partners are calling you because your APIs are returning errors. You don't really know if it's the same thing that you had yesterday. It's pretty similar. So you're jumping between servers, you're opening text files, you're just trying to figure out what went wrong, basically. One person posts on Slack, I'm looking into it. Other two also post, I'm looking into it. Nobody's really coordinating. It's pretty chaotic, really. Then one person pops up and says, why does it feel like we're working harder every week, but we're just getting further behind? This wasn't a particularly bad day. This was slowly becoming our normal. It felt like we were always behind. Every day started with catching up on what broke overnight. And we had constant interruptions and no time to think, really. Not about the improvements, not about the architecture, not about anything really, except how to put out the next fire. And the repetition. We had the same problems, just on different days. You'd fix something on Monday and it popped back up again on Friday. And we had all the usual explanation. We just need more time. If it had one more hire, it'd get better. And better monitoring would have helped us catch it earlier. And don't get me wrong, better monitoring would have helped us catch it earlier. And more people definitely would have helped. But it wouldn't have helped us fix the problem. It would have made us more efficient at dealing with a situation that shouldn't have existed in the first place. Honestly, at what we were doing, we were really good at it. Fast fixes, closing tickets, restoring service. Someone reports a problem and 15 minutes later, it's resolved. And the short-term workarounds. We had workarounds, manual steps, little hacks to keep things running for everything. We even created a website. We called it Tools. It consisted entirely of hacks to connect people that couldn't actually get through. And the hero moments. We constantly, people were calling, people were coming in and saving the day over and over and over again. And it feels really good to be the hero that comes in on Saturday, saves the whole operation. But the thing is, every hero moment, every little fix that is done in half an hour, it makes the system more complex. It's one more thing that nobody documents. And it's one more thing that only one person understands and can maintain. We were working harder every week, and our system was getting more fragile every week. And nobody really understood why. Oh, I have this. We were stuck in a loop. Firefighting created complexity, and the complexity was creating more firefighting. That's it. That's our whole problem in two sentences. And the faster we worked, the faster the loop spun. And this is the part that took us a while to understand. We weren't failing because we lacked skill. We weren't failing because we weren't working hard enough. We were some of the hardest working people I know, believe me. We were failing because the system was designed to produce exactly this outcome. Every hour we spent fixing the present was an hour we couldn't spend on the future. And we were spending all of our hours on the present. That's not a people problem. That's a system problem. Underneath everything, there was a certain way of thinking within a company. We never debated it, we never really discussed it, but it was just there underneath it all. Software was a cost. It was a number, it was something to maintain and keep as low as possible. Change equaled risk. Every deployment was a potential incident. If you think about it that way, then of course you would delay deployment. Stability was the end goal. As long as nothing's breaking, we are doing our job. And work, the engineering effort, that is something to minimize, to reduce, to keep as low as possible, but not to invest in it. And here's the thing, if we believe all of this, then every decision we made was perfectly logical. Of course you would delay changes. Of course you would patch instead to redesign something. It's cheaper. Optimize for today instead of tomorrow. That's just being responsible, right? We weren't making bad decisions. We were making perfectly logical decisions inside a model that was quietly destroying us. So, we needed a different model to continue. Software isn't a cost, it's an investment. The more you put into it, the more it gives back. And change doesn't equal risk. Change is capability, it's learning. Every change teaches you something new about your system. And stability isn't the end goal, adaptability is. A system that can't change is just a system that hasn't broken yet. And work isn't something to minimize. Work is something we should invest in, because good work done well minimizes future work. So this shift, it sounds simple on paper, but it changed everything about how we make our decisions. We stopped just fixing things and we started designing them. Fixing means the system stays the same and you just keep it running. Designing means you ask, should this system even work this way? And the questions changed. It went from, how do we fix this? But that keeps you inside the problem. And it started to being, why does this exist at all? Because sometimes the answer is, this shouldn't exist. But none of this matters if you don't have any capacity to act on it. If your team is fully consumed by the problems of today, the thing is, you have to start by creating space. So we created this space. While things were still on fire, while people were still calling us. And we protected time for improvements. It wasn't a lot in the beginning, but it was always there. And we defended that time. And we started saying no, or not now. It kind of sounds better to people, to the business. That nice to have integration, not now. That thing has been broken for 6 months, but all of a sudden you discovered it and now it's on fire. Sorry, not now. And we accepted that some things, they would get worse before they got better. Every instinct in our body tells us that we should fix it when someone calls us and tells us this is causing really big problems for them. But we accepted that sometimes if we fix something now, we will never fix why it keeps happening. So, how did we create this space? There are many ways to do that, but this is what we did. We limited the work in progress. we'll just try to focus on fewer things, but actual limits on how many things could be open at the same time. If another thing comes in, something else has to go out, no exceptions. We used to have 7, 8 things going on within a team at any given point, and we got that number down. Fewer things at progress at the same time, because it actually turns out 3 things done are worth more than 7 half done. And we protected the team's capacity to work on the improvement issues, to work on the systems underneath the symptoms. It wasn't Friday afternoons where everyone's tired and just wants to go home. Midweek time for the team to work on the issues. Because if everything is urgent, nothing will improve. You just run faster on a treadmill. The next thing we change is how do we define success? Because if you're measuring firefighting, you will just get more firefighting. We used to count tickets closed, incidents resolved, response time. And we were great at those numbers before. So we started caring about different things. How long does it take us to move an idea to production? The predictability, can we predict what next week will look like? And the big one, are we getting surprised less often? Because nobody celebrates surprises, but that's what calm actually feels like. And it is within the calm that the improvements get made. And we started designing for flow. And by flow, I mean, can the system change safely and easily? We looked at our dependencies. Every time we wanted to get a release out, we had to coordinate with several other teams that were blocking us. So we started by untangling all of that. We started by building our own internal software to ensure the data integrity. Instead of trusting that every integration partner was going to send us clean and valid data, we took ownership of that ourselves. We validate, we enforce, and we guarantee consistency on our side of the boundary. And for our integration partners, we put up a reverse proxy for them. They keep calling the same endpoints they always did, nothing changes for them. But on our side of the boundary, we can redesign, refactor, and swap out entire services. And we can ship when we are ready. We made the systems easier to understand. Because if only one person understands how something works, that thing will never change. We need more people to be able to look at our systems and say, I'm confident that I can change this. And smaller, more frequent changes, because big releases mean big risks. You need to ship in slow and small increments. I'm going to tell you a story. We actually just released a new version of our software on production just last week. And it was in the aftermath of that release that we discovered several issues that had been buried in a legacy code for years and years. This code had been running for 18 years, basically, and nobody had touched it. To give you a little bit of context, in Iceland, when you buy or order an internet connection, you usually rent the router from the internet service provider. So you buy the connection, he gives you the router, and we will activate it on our system. So now you know this, we can continue. We noticed we were having a lot of errors activating new connections. So we were like, what's going on? We started digging, trying to find out what was the problem. We found out that we were having problems activating connections because the router was already tied to an older connection that had been deactivated at some point. It turns out there was a bug in the system that when an internet service connection was turned off, it didn't release the equipment tied to that connection. So we couldn't activate the new connection because it was already taken, basically. So we thought the logical step was to fix where the bug is happening and we will move on, right? But that's not what had happened. Instead of fixing why the bug was happening, they patched the activation flow to just force assign the equipment to the new connection. Everyone's happy, right? But yeah, this kind of way of thinking, it creates problems, like we all know, working in software in unexpected places. But what we did, we just fixed where the bug was happening and we moved on. This was the cause because of a dependency. An internet service provider didn't want to allow them to do a release to actually fix the problem, so this patch was easier. And we killed the hero pattern. It feels really good being the person who jumps in and saves the day. Everyone knows you, everyone celebrates you. But we noticed something. The heroes, they were always the same 2 or 3 people, and the systems they kept saving, nobody else could save them because nobody else understood them. Heroics don't scale. And worse, they hide problems. Every time someone heroically fixes something, that's a symptom that that system needs redesigning. And instead of hearing that signal, we were celebrating it. So we shifted. Instead of one person who can save a system, we wanted 3 people to be able to do that. The shared ownership, the slide that I showed you before, that was really key in this being able to cut this thing down, to have fewer items open at the same time, to have the team working on something as a whole. This promoted this to be able to killing this hero pattern. This one was really subtle, but looking back, it might have been the most important thing we did. Very early on in the beginning, we started building trust within the team to have the team members feeling safe being able to say these words. I don't understand this. Before, if you didn't understand something, you just rooted around it. You let the person who built it keep owning it. And it definitely didn't say, I don't understand this, because that kind of made you feel like you were stupid or inferior in some way. But if people don't ask these questions, the systems never get explained. They never get documented, and they never get simplified. They stay as complex as they are forever. Ooh, update, I guess. The moment we made it safe not to say these words, people started asking questions. And these questions felt more like curiosity. Some really great improvements came from these questions, looking back. So what did all of this look like day to day for us? There wasn't some dramatic big before and after moment. It was just different conversations, more discussions about why. Why does this service exist? Why are we doing it this way? And fewer rust fixes. Definitely not zero, not zero at all, but fewer. And people asked, is this really on fire? Before just jumping in and doing the change. And fewer repeated incidents. The work, it became more predictable. We could plan a sprint and pretty much actually do the work that we planned. And the engineers, they started thinking long-term. Asking, what if we, instead of, we need to fix it. We used to look at our systems and see things to fix. Now we look at them and see things we need to understand. We definitely did not eliminate firefighting, but we stopped living in it. You don't get resilience by reacting faster. You get it by needing to react less. If any of this feels familiar, the constant pressure, the feeling of always catching up, it's probably not a people problem. It's how the system's designed. So, where to start if you or somebody is in this situation? Create the space. You can do that a bunch of different ways. You can do what Maria Henrique, was it? Just talked about before with the agents. I thought that was a brilliant talk about how can we create the space. Just pick one thing that's not on fire and work on it anyway. That's another thing. Cancel 1 meeting a week. Use that time to work on the systems underneath the symptoms. And change what you measure. Is your team celebrating the heroic save at 2 a.m.? That tells you your system's rewards. Start asking, how often did we get surprised? Are we seeing the same incidents or are we seeing new ones? And ask why one more time, then feels comfortable, because that's usually where the design fix lives. And the big one, ask yourself, what are we optimizing for right now? Your system is already perfectly designed to give you the results that you're getting. If you're getting chaos, something is optimized for chaos. When you can name it, then you can change it. Firefighting isn't the problem. It's a symptom of what your system is optimized for, and that you can change. Thank you.